Hello all, this is 2 Minutes in Luke. In the last 7 days we've been in Luke chapter 13 verse 10 through chapter 15 and verse 10. Just 2 chapters, but boy, is there a lot of good information, good material in those chapters. There is so much in this text that I can't possibly squeeze into 2 minutes. We have a crippled woman who is healed on the Sabbath day. The parables of the mustard seed and the leaven. The parable of those who were turned away because they were too late. The healing of a man with dropsy on the Sabbath day. Advice to take the lowest place when invited to a banquet. Excuses for turning down the Lord's invitation. The command to go to the highways and byways to invite people to come to God's banquet. Advice to count the cost of following Jesus before signing on the dotted line. And the parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin. Boy, that's a lot of good material. But our focus today in this video is on just one of those stories, the story of the invitations to the banquet in Luke chapter 14, verses 15 through 24. The story begins with inappropriate excuses, 3 of them, for not accepting the Lord's invitation. And then we have the command of the master to go out at once into the streets and lanes of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. And I want you to notice that those are the very same categories of people that Jesus told the Pharisees that they ought to start inviting to their banquets in chapter 14 and verse 13. The slave responds to his master, "I've done that. I've invited all of those people to your banquet, but there is still room." And so the master replies, "Then I want you to go into the roads and lanes and compel people to come in so that my house may be filled." The slave is literally sent out to fetch the street people without discrimination. I think what I see here, do you see it, is a threefold invitation that makes Jesus' parable fairly transparent. The first invitation went to the righteous ones of the people. That would be the religious leaders, the Pharisees and others. But as we've noticed, they turned down Jesus' invitation. They found their pursuits more important than Jesus' call. The second invitation went out to the outcasts of the people, the poor, the blind, the lame, the crippled, and they accepted the invitation, but there is still room. So the third invitation goes out, and it goes beyond the city to a wider region. And surely this is an invitation to the Gentiles to become part of God's people, which will unfold in the book of Acts. And aren't we glad that that third invitation went out, because most of us are probably Gentiles. Now, how will we apply this story? Well, let's just say that when the end comes, God wants a full house in his banquet hall. He wants everyone that possibly can to enjoy the feast that he has prepared. Our task right here and right now is to invite everyone we possibly can to the feast. And that reminds me of an old hymn. All things are ready, come to the feast. That's our job, to invite people to come to the feast. Our challenge, our task, our charge. Invite everyone we can to enjoy the present and future feast that God has waiting for his people. I'll see you next time.